making other humans God. A doctor is not God. A scientist is not God. A preacher is not God. Your parents are not God. People on social media are not God. Even your own human logic cannot fathom what God can do. That's where faith comes in. You have to be very careful about listening to humans, even if they're professionals and they have expertise. And yes, they might be right in some cases, but I serve a God that can do anything. All things are possible through God. And yes, some of these people have good intentions, but that doesn't mean that they're right. We have to stop putting our faith in the wisdom of man, and we have to put our faith in God, because there are no limits to God. 1 Corinthians 2:5 tells us, stop putting so much trust in humans and trust in God, because God can do immeasurably more than we ask. Do you know how many times doctors have told people, you have this terminal illness, there is no cure, you're going to die in 6 months? And there's so many people who have proved them wrong. And the doctors will always be like, it's a miracle. We don't understand how this happened. We have no explanation for how this happened. The explanation is God. The explanation is the Most High. And here's the thing. Yes, some people do end up passing away, but we all have an expiration date. But the fact that doctors, people who have degrees and they have education and they do know what they're talking about, that still doesn't explain what God can do. But at the end of the day, God has the final say. Logic is just humans' limited understanding of how things work. So humans will always misguide you. That's why it's important for you to directly go to God. You have to go to God directly. You can't just go to God through a preacher. You can't just trust God through a doctor. You can't just trust God through your parents. What your parents tell you. You let all these humans guide you, but you're not going to God directly to have him guide you. Because guess what? When you pray, that's you talking to God. When you meditate, when you sit in silence on it, that's God talking to you. And faith really does move mountains. I'm going to share a little story with y'all that I've shared a few times, but I feel like somebody needs to hear this right now. Excuse me. When I was 18, I was desperate for a car. And I told, the elders in my family, like, I really want a Honda Civic and I only want to pay $1,000 for it. And they laughed at me. They were like, girl, you are not going to find a good running car for $1,000, let alone a Honda. So I was like, damn, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm, not being realistic. People were telling me, like, why don't you just put $1,000 down as a down payment and just have a car payment? So I was like, maybe they're right. And I almost settled. Because I was listening to the wisdom of humans. So I was about to buy this car they wanted $8,000 for it, and it was only worth $4,000. Mind you, I didn't want this car. So not only was I getting a car that I didn't even really want, I was about to pay $8,000, which was $7,000 more than what I wanted to pay for the car that I actually wanted. Don't you know, the day before I was about to make a down payment on this car I didn't want, the day before I was about to do that, I had the $1,000 stolen from me. Mind you, I had $1,200, but the person only stole $1,000. And I was so upset. I was so mad at God. And I called my mom hysterical. I'm in high school. It's my senior year. And I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm like, why would God let this happen? And she was like, don't blame this on God. This happened because you weren't patient and you didn't trust God. And I was like, you know what? She's right. Like, I can't even deny she's right. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start saving up my money again, and I'm going to just be patient. I don't know when I'm going to get a car. I don't know how I'm going to get a car, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to just start saving up again. Literally, probably like 3 or 4 weeks later, I had $1,200 saved up again. My uncle-in-law just is calling me back to back while I'm at my new job. And I'm like, yo, I can't talk on the phone. Like, what's up? Why you keep calling me? I texted him. So he texts me back and he's like, it's this lady, she's willing to sell her old Honda Civic to you for $1,000 because she wants to buy a new Honda Civic off me, but the dealership is only willing to give her $500 if she trades it in. And she's like, man, if I could just get at least $1,000 for it, I would just sell it to somebody and use that as a down payment. I didn't get the car checked out. I didn't even test drive it before I bought it. The first time I drove the car was after I bought it. I immediately said, give me that. And I drove that car for almost 5 years. The only reason I stopped driving is because I got into a car accident and it got totaled. But what did everybody tell me? You're not going to get no good running car for $1,000, especially not a Honda. What ended up happening? I literally got exactly what I wanted. I did not have to settle because I said, you know what? I'm going to surrender. I'm going to let go and let God. I'm going to just have faith in God. I'm going to be patient. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I trust God is going to make it happen. Even when it comes to people's perception of you, I've had a lot of people online, not in person, but I've had a lot of people online say some really crazy stuff to me over the years. And I'm not going to lie, there was a point in time where it used to really get to me. It really used to bother me. Now, that shit does not bother me. I just laugh it off. My skin is so thick because I know who I am. And I know God. I pray and talk to God 24/7. Nobody can tell me who I am. Nobody can dictate how I feel about myself, because guess what? When you allow how somebody else perceives you to dictate how you feel about yourself, you're making that person God. All I do is rebuke people and pray for people because you don't know no better. You don't know me, so you're just making assumptions. And I can't control how you feel about me, but guess what? How you feel about me ain't about to control me, because you're not God. You're just a human. Even when it comes to some of these religious leaders, and I'm not going to lie, I feel hesitant to say that, but I just have to be real. Even religious leaders, they will misguide you too, because a lot of times they teach God's word in a way that instills fear in people. And sometimes, let's be real, even a person that is an authoritative figure, they can misinterpret God's word and not teach it in the right way. So you have to go directly to God, and you have to listen to your spirit. You have to seek God and get to know God for yourself. And please don't misinterpret anything that I'm saying. I've had good experiences with doctors. I've had good experiences with pastors and preachers. I've had good experiences with my, mom. Like, I've gotten good advice and sound advice from, some of those people, but they're not God. They don't know everything. That's why it's important for you to still go to God directly. Listen to your spirit. Listen to your intuition. The moral of the story is, humans are humans and God is God. It's important for you to seek God, because when you seek God, you will find God. And when you find God, that's when you'll find guidance, and God will order your steps. So yeah, I pray that this message was helpful and that it resonated with somebody and spoke to somebody. And yeah, I hope you guys subscribe. I'll see you soon. Bye.